went through each jungle deep for the paradise that we to see. There's no trip for the weak. We're waltzing with the natives. Na 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 na.
Hello everybody, how we all doing? Welcome back to our little Celtic podcast called the Celtic Caller. I'm Jamie, I'm your host. I'm joined by my co-host this week, the wonderful Corey, wearing the hoops as usual. How you doing, brother?
What's happening, Jamie boy? What is happening?
Well, it's been a pretty, boring week, mate, without Celtic. Obviously, at the end of last week, we had a very poor result at Tannadice. It's been international break this week. Well done to Benjamin Nygren, who qualified for the World Cup with his country. Swedish international, set up a couple of goals, played in both matches. Well done to him. He's been one of Celtic's best players this season, scoring loads of goals. So big congratulations to him. Looking forward to see him playing at the World Cup this year. Scotland played. Not really much Celtic to talk about in that. Apart from that, Tunecti scored a last minute winner for Tunisia. That was it was only a friendly right enough, but it was good to see him get on the score sheet. Did anybody else play that I can think of? Tony Ralston went with Scotland, but I don't think he played much.
Tierney?
Did Kieran Tierney play any matches, did he?
Ivory Coast, I'm sure.
Ivory Coast.
I know he's on loan, but I seen Lewis Palmer score a good goal.
Lewis Palmer, who I've seen the other day. I actually seen an article the other day saying he wants to get a second chance at Celtic. So we'll see. That's one to look out for to see if the new manager will give Lewis Palmer a chance in the summer. Austin Trusty played for America. I think he got injured, but I think he's kind of said on X that it's nothing too serious. So Liam Scales, unfortunately, Ireland didn't make the World Cup. I don't really think Liam Scales featured in the match at all, to be honest. I don't think he was actually in the squad, to be honest. I don't know whether that was injury or just the decision, but he wasn't actually on the bench at that point. But they didn't make it. Unlucky to Wales as well. But international week is now over, thankfully, and we can get back to the title race, if we can still call it that, with ourselves involved. There is a title race in Scotland, but unfortunately I really don't see Celtic getting back in it. But anyway, this weekend we play Dundee at 4:30 on Sunday, and before that Rangers play Dundee United at Ibrox, and Hearts play Livingston earlier at 2:00 on Sunday. So we're hoping for a couple of good results in those matches, hoping Dundee United and Livingston because days a wee turn and get us back into this. But let's just focus on Celtic. Corey, how much have you missed watching Celtic, even after the defeat at Tannadice?
I think it's been good for my mental health. 100% think it has been good. Obviously, it's a real football. International football's alright when it comes to competitions, but this is the real deal. This is what we love football for. Our clubs, even though they're not playing as great at the moment, but it's good that they're back.
Yeah, it's good to have them back, and we're going to a big match on Sunday. I think, we done Off the Underside before this, our other podcast, where we talk about Scottish football in general, and we kind of mentioned on there that the game on Sunday, for me, is dependent on other results. I think if Hearts drop any kind of points on Sunday, Celtic will go into that all guns blazing, trying to get back into it. So it's kind of dependent on other results to me, because at this stage of the season, mate, it's particularly at this point in this kind of season, it's all about pressure, and Rangers have got the least pressure this weekend, in my opinion, by having an early game against Dundee United at home. So let's just talk about Celtic alone, regardless of the results that happen elsewhere. Celtic should still be getting into this, hoping for 3 points. Can we get 3 points in Dundee this season, Corey? Is that going to happen on Sunday?
My honest opinion, I think no. I think we'll draw. If at most we'll get a 1-0 win. I just don't see and it has been my issue for a while. I just don't see where the goals are coming from, and sometimes I don't know the way Celtic play. I get confused. Sometimes they want to play, keep the ball on the pitch, blah blah blah. Then other times they just randomly just start punting it up the field to all their small players like Maeda, Tanetki. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't even know if the Martin O'Neill knows himself what type of team to put out, the style of play or anything like that. So I just I'm hoping and praying that we get the 3 points, but I'm not. I am not very confident, to be perfectly honest.
But do you not think a large part of it is to do with other results? I mean, look at last weekend, for instance, because we were chasing, because Hearts and Rangers had two decent performances and two decent results before Celtic kicked a ball. It's kind of like, oh, the pressure's on us now. We need to try and perform. If Hearts drop anything, particularly Hearts, if they drop anything on Sunday, surely Celtic will begin into that, right, a completely different animal.
I think that's Celtic of old. I don't think this is the Celtic now. I agree with you. They should, if Hearts or Rangers or both drop points, they should be going out into the game in DENS Park and all guns blazing, trying to get as many goals as possible, make it comfortable, putting on a proper show. But I just don't feel like we will. I've got zero confidence in this team. I've got zero confidence that we can turn it around because I've been waiting on them turning it around for a while now. So it's just, I know I'm the most depressing the one out of both of us, and I'm finding it harder to find any confidence in anything about Celtic just now. It's just I feel that the players are underperforming, but they're playing well for their country. Like Neil Green, obviously he's been playing all right for us, but I feel sometimes he goes missing. I just, it's. I feel like a wet blanket a wee bit what the Celtic one, but I, aye, it's a confusing one for me. I just kind of I hope that they go out all guns blazing regardless of the results because we really need a good performance. But I just don't see where it's going to come from. To be
Aye,
perfectly
and
honest.
I don't like harp on about it, but to me, it is definitely a case of the other results, how they go, because I think, say if any Rangers and Hearts drop any kind of points, I think the mentality in Celtic will come out. They are still the champions. We have still got the best players in the country, in my opinion, even though they didn't show that last weekend. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel that if Celtics see any kind of slip up, that they will kind of pounce on that, to be honest. But if Rangers and Hearts both do what they probably will do and should do, win the matches, then the pressure's going to be on Celtic again, mate, at half four, because right now we can't afford to drop any points. We couldn't afford to drop any points before Dundee United. If we drop any points this weekend and Hearts and Rangers win, then it is definitely all over. And you know what? I wouldn't have any complaints after that, because you can't be losing to away games at Dundee in a row. You know what I mean? You don't deserve to win any titles. And even at this point, to be honest with you, mate, can we honestly turn around and say at this point in the season that Celtic deserve to win a title? I don't think so.
No, no. I've said it. I've said on the other side. Whoever wins this league, it's a terrible team because I don't think Hearts have been playing amazing. They've been doing what they have to do. Rangers, they were a disaster at the start of the season. They're still not playing great, but they're doing what they have to do. And I just feel like Celtic's not even doing what they have to do. I get what you're saying that if Rangers and Hearts drop points, that mentality will come out. But I think it needs to come out regardless, and it needs to be there 100% of the time. It needs to just you need to be focused, and I don't feel like the players are fully focused on this because there's so many players in that squad want to leave. Probably know that they're not good enough, maybe not handling the pressure. It comes with wearing the Celtic jersey. And it's just, I really hope they are able to turn it around. But I just think getting a title it's a step too far now. I feel that we should just. I know it sounds defeatist, but I really feel that we should just focus on the summer and the massive rebuild and getting the new manager in, getting all our ducks in a row with all that sort of stuff. Maybe get the Scottish Cup, but I think that's a good chance we could get the Scottish Cup, but still not confident in that either. But I think we should really be focusing on the next season ahead. I know there's a good few games to go and it sounds defeatist, but that's just the way I feel.
And I'm sorry, mate, I'm going to have to disagree with you on this. I'm not really. I mean, we're still currently in this season. There's 7 games to go. Even though I do believe that it is over, I don't believe Celtic should be giving up until it's mathematically done
Aye.
and focusing on next season at this point. Nah, focus on next season at the end of this season. You know what I mean? As you say, we've still got a Scottish Cup to kind of play for, give the fans something to celebrate at the end of the season. But nah, I mean, we've got to be focusing on the next 7 matches and I'm not gonna lie, mate. I think it's a bit defeatist of you to be kind of
Aye.
thinking of next season and stuff like that already. I mean, next season will take care of itself regardless. Don't get me wrong. I think the Celtic board and everybody involved in Celtic should be, thinking about it right now and keeping an eye on people and identifying managers and identifying guys who they want to come into the club and stuff. But I don't believe that should be the full focus at this point. The full focus should be on the next 7 matches. We're still going to play Hearts. We're still going to play Rangers. We're still going to play cup semi-finals and hopefully cup finals and stuff. So there is still a bit to play for this season. Even if we don't go on and win the league, mate, you don't want Rangers to turn up at our patch and beat us. You don't want Hearts. We don't want Hearts to turn up and beat us and stuff. So, aye,
No,
there is still a good bit to play for this season, mate.
I do get that, and I really do. And I don't want Hearts or Rangers to come to Celtic Park and beat us 2-3-0, but I just feel that, like you said, that next season is going to take care of itself. I feel that's what's going to happen. That's going to take care of itself. I just don't feel that we've got much about us. We don't have a swagger. We don't have a solid defence. We don't have a solid midfield. We don't have a proper striker. I've tried my best. For I know we've took a wee break for this. I've tried my best to find some positives in Celtic, and I'm just not finding it. I don't know if I'm maybe being what's that word I'm thinking about there? Just used to.
Pessimistic.
No, I know I just used to the trebles and stuff like. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like the standard is. So I just feel like
Mm.
this is nowhere near my standard, and maybe a good few Celtic supporters standard because I've been used to the constantly winning, constantly winning, constantly winning because it's been going on for about 20 odd years, mm, roughly. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just that's coming into play that I'm just kind of like this is nowhere near my standard. I'm fucking done. But I just feel like it's not really. There's not really anything I can find positively about Celtic at the moment. And I've tried. I've literally went through the squad, tried to go through it all, even watch some old game back, and it's just there's nothing. There's nothing there for me.
But like I say, here's the positives that I just said though. It's still mathematically possible we can get back into this, even though I think it's unlikely. It's there. Alistair Johnson is coming back into the squad, who is a very, very good player. Will be an asset on the park and off the park. Who's a very positive guy. Martin O'Neill is still there, and while Martin O'Neill is still there, Celtic have still got opportunities to win games. We've still got to play Rangers. We've still got to play Hearts. We're still in a Scottish Cup semi-final. What else? There's been a couple of weeks break now. Will that help guys like Callum McGregor, who hasn't featured in a match in a couple of weeks now? Will he be kind of injury free on Sunday and be able to dictate the game a bit better? What else have we got that's there? Tunecti scored. Benjamin Negrin got through to the World Cup. What else, mate? We are going to go on to other negatives later on, which happened throughout Celtic throughout this international break. But that's what I'm clinging on to until it's mathematically done. Then I'm still going to say there's a chance. I still think it's very, very unlikely that Rangers and Hearts drop enough points. I think I could see Celtic, to be honest. I know this sounds ridiculous, and I do agree with you. You know, it's been a tough old season, and we've seen some very poor stuff for Celtic this season. But I could honestly see Celtic coming back to this international break and winning every match until the end of the season, right? But I think it's very unlikely that Hearts and Rangers drop enough points for us to win the league. That's just how I feel. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that Celtic win every match and that Hearts and Rangers drop enough points. I just think it's a bit kind of tough ask at this point. But there's the positives, mate. You know what I mean? It's still there. It's still in our hands. If we, if we beat Rangers at Ibrox, if we beat, sorry, at Parkhead, if we beat Hearts at Parkhead, then, there's an opportunity there. And then these guys Callum McGregor could still be lifting that trophy at the end of the season. But wee bit of bad news I know through this international break that Julian Arajo is now out for the season. Don't know if I can see him at Celtic Park next season. I don't really like to think about these things, Corey, because see, as long as you've not got a manager, I don't even want to discuss players. I really don't. I mean, I get that the wee guy was excellent for us and stuff, and I would take him back in a heartbeat, personally. But I mean, see if the next manager doesn't want him and he wants to stick with Alistair Johnston, he got to get his in right back in. I'd prefer that to going down the road of the club choosing what players come in. Do you know what I mean? I hope we start afresh in the summer, and that every Celtic player who's on loan comes back for loan. Every Celtic player who's currently at the club is, fresh and ready for the new season, and the manager can just get to have a clean sweep of things and pick his own players to come in, his own positions and stuff like that. But I don't like all this kind of rumour mill of Zaraho coming back, Zaraho coming back. We've not got a manager, so I don't want fucking Dermot Desmond and his boy and all these other guys making decisions, even though I love Zaraho, you know what I mean? But, so that's the positives, mate. I know that you're saying it's kind of, you're feeling very negative about it all and stuff like that. But see if we're sitting here, mate, next week doing our podcast and Celtic have won the game on Sunday and either Hearts or Rangers, particularly, hopefully Hearts, have dropped any kind of points. It's a whole new ball game, mate. See if Hearts even draw on Sunday and we win. We're sitting here in a much better position next week.
I think maybe you're glass half full and glass half empty type of
And
guy.
I'm not usually tight. I'm not usually that tight, but I just feel when it comes to football, mate. You know what I mean?
I know,
It's
just anything can happen type of deal. And I do get that, and I know I'm saying I can't find any positives. Obviously, that AJ coming back and maybe Callum McGregor getting a few more a week or two, maybe get his fitness up. That's a positive, but I don't. Aye, it's a tough whole season, and I don't want to be the pure negative one. I feel that I'm usually 90% positive about Celtic. I usually feel like I usually try and feel the same way as you. Like it's not mathematically done. We've still got the Scottish Cup and all that stuff. I usually try to think of that and cling on to that. But it's just the hope that kills you is the phrase, and it's killed me so many times this season because we've had opportunities to close the gap. We've had the opportunities to be even going top of the league, and it's every single time. You were talking about pressure earlier on. Celtic are not handling pressure, and that's not Celtic to me. Celtic usually the ones to dish out the pressure, and if pressure comes, we deal with it with ease. That's what I've known Celtic is for when I've started watching Celtic to now, and that's why I feel this squad that doesn't have anything about them. They don't have that dig to deal with the pressure. Callum McGregor's been there and done it, but he doesn't look like the player he used to be. James Forrest been there and done it. He's not the player he used to be. We can't really rely on the been there and done it. I don't feel. I feel like the players that have came in, they need to deal with the pressure themselves, and they're not to the extent that we should. That you need, sorry, to win leagues, to win titles, to win cups. And that's why I feel the negativity more than anything. And I hope I'm wrong. I'm the exact same as you. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we watch the game on Sunday. It's a new Celtic. They've got their arse in gear and they're going to win games 2-3-0. I know obviously you can't do that every single game, but we've got the squad to be capable of doing that every single game. and I want us to potentially win the league. But I know I'm the same as you. It's a hard it's a hard ask. I feel with this squad that we've got, and and I'm the same as you when it comes to Araujo. I love Araujo. I think he's a crazy wee Mexican. I love him. I've seen the videos of him in Wonderbar, seen him in come on, look after scoring that goal, and just he felt like that. He got it. He got what Celtic was all about and all that, and you love that about players coming in. But I agree with you as well. If a manager isn't there, if we don't have our own manager, we can't just start signing players. We can't let Desmond and all his stupid pals, because we'll end up with just a team full of Celtic fans or they're half Irish. But we won't have actual quality players. So I'm the same as you. Hopefully all this negativity goes away this time next week, but there's no light at the end of the tunnel for me, Jamie Boy, at the moment.
No, I get it, mate. I do understand it, but I must admit, I've got to thank big Steve MCSC, who we had in off the underside a few weeks ago. Um, Big Man City fan who's popular doing their own stuff, and I've been watching his videos lately. And Man City are 9 points behind Arsenal with 7 games to go down in England, and he still believes because he's like, you know what? This is where at Man City, this is where big teams and winners come into their own. This is the business end of the season, and he's like, you know, they've still got a game in hand. If they win the game in hand at 6, then they've still to play Arsenal at the Etihad next week. And he's like, that's down to 3. And he's like, technically, it could be 3 points in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? He's like, and that's when the big teams. It's kind of similar up here, you know, to Hearts. Hearts have never ever been in this position. They've not been in this position in a long time, you know, 40 odd years or whatever it's been since, you know, Hearts last won a title or whatever. I mean, I think that Hearts will. There is a lot of pressure on them to play Livingston on Sunday, and I think because of how they've performed this season, we're thinking to ourselves, like, they should win that easily. But I'm not so sure. I think Livingston could get us. Could do us a wee turn on Sunday. You know, look at Arsenal as well. I mean, they're going to be under a lot of pressure. They showed that in the Carabao Cup final that Man City have got the number on them and stuff. So this is the business end of the season, mate. The big man's right. You know, this is where teams like Man City, teams like Celtic, who are used to winning trophies year in, year out, this is where they come into their own, man. This is where they take the pressure, even if they've not been performing all year. I mean, Man City have been shocking this season by their standards, but yet they've just won a cup, and yet they're still winning this. They're still in a title race. So who knows, mate? By the end of the season, I would be surprised if both Man City and Celtic won their respective leagues. But I wouldn't be. I wouldn't. It's no out the realms of possibility. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Arsenal and
Oh,
Hearts, their arses will be collapsing. Whether that they get over the line with or no is time will tell. But their arses will be collapsing round about this point.
no, I do get it. I do get that we're still not mathematically out it and all that stuff. And same goes with Man City, but it's just I said it last time. I feel that Celtic's got more of their performances against Dundee United than they have performances against Dundee United at home when we won 4-0. And I think that's why I'm feeling more glass half empty, because I felt I've seen that more this season. I get that business end of the season. This is if they'll deal. Hopefully they'll deal with the pressure and hopefully they'll carry on. But they've been doing it when the pressure's not necessarily been there. Is what my issue. The start of the season and stuff like that, when the pressure's not fully there, they've started to crumble. I don't necessarily think Hearts is going to win the league. I think it's going to be the other mob. And I don't want it to be the other mob. If it was anybody who would win the league apart from Celtic, I want it to be Hearts. But, aye, but hopefully, obviously, it's time. Like you're saying, time can tell, and it's not out of the realms of possibility and stuff like that. But Sunday, we would need a big performance for me to even get more hope. And I feel a big performance doesn't necessarily need to be 3-4-0. It just needs to be dominant. Like we've went in the DENS Park and showed them up, Even if it's a 1-0, we get a last minute winner. But that whole game was like that was all Celtic. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the team for Sunday. What team would you go with after that poor performance at Tannadice? There's going to be a few changes, I would imagine. What team would you play? I think that, before you say it, I think that Arthur Johnson won't be fit yet.
Mm-mm.
And I think Kobe Donovan is not going to be playing because he pulled out the Scotland under 21 team. So I'm assuming it's going to be Anthony Ralston. It's going to be Anthony Ralston in there.
The Bell's
Which
Hill.
I'm no like totally against. I know that you don't rate him and stuff, but I think he's all right in Scotland, so I wouldn't be too worried about that position. But I'm assuming you think he'll start. Who else do you think will be alongside him?
Scales and
First of all, Sarasalo in goal.
aye, that's a given. That's a given. But
Sarasalo,
I wouldn't
Ralston.
change. I wouldn't change him for Ross Doohan at this moment in time. Or I would think Martin O'Neill's lost his marbles. So Sinisalo, Ralston, Scales. Depending on Trusty's injury, I would say I would want Trusty to play there, but I think I would personally go for Kieran Tierney, then play Sriracha.
You want to play
And
Benjamin Arthur there?
don't know, especially after a Dundee United game. I, I like him, but he is still very raw, and I don't know. Like we were talking about pressure, like can he deal with that pressure? He's played 3 or 4 games in his professional career. This is a different type of pressure here. And I mean, we can't really rely on, or
Good point.
maybe he'll be all right. Maybe we'll be all right. We can't rely on that. We need to rely on somebody. I know I'm sounding contradictory. Like we can't rely on people who's been there and done it. But right now, I feel like I would rather, especially in our defence, we need the people who's been there and done it.
Mm.
And Tierney's got Premier League experience. He's got Scotland experience. He's definitely got Celtic experience. So I'd rather him be in the squad one way or another. And depending on the injury, it'd be Trusty. I would put him as my centre back.
See, before you go on, I think that as much as I rate Kieran Tierney and as much as I would agree that I rate Sriracha as well, I think to put Tierney in there at this point in the season when he's not played for Celtic in that position this season, when Benjamin Arthur's there, I think is a risk. I'd be playing Arthur ahead of Tierney in that position. Although, and I'm going to sound like a pure hypocrite here for anybody who's ever heard me talk about Austin Trusty, you know, I wouldn't mind Trusty in there ahead of Arthur, to be honest, because Trusty, look at that game at Ibrox the other week in the Cup, he was outstanding. He was outstanding against Bologna away from home. He's good. You know, he's good when he wants to be, Trusty. So I would probably, if Trusty is fit, I'd be playing Trusty and Scales. But if Trusty's no fit, I'd be playing Benjamin Arthur in there because he's his own more natural position. I think it's a risk to put Tierney in there at this point, mate. You know, especially when you're saying, you know, you go to keep things, you know, you got to get the experience in there and stuff. I know what you're saying, but the experience as well is got to be the tactics as well. Do you know what I mean? And like how we play. So personally, I'd be playing Arthur if Trusty's no fit, and then I'd be playing Tierney at left back. But on you go.
I was just taking the experience more in the defence.
No, I get it. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Just because the midfield can be shambolic and our attack it can be shambolic. So as long as that defence is solid, I would feel a tiny bit more comfortable. And I just think because of like I said about the pressure, could Arthur deal with it? He could start on Sunday and have the game of his life, being a man in the match and prove me wrong. I would like that to happen, but if I was Martin O'Neill, I would have that thought in my mind. Would I put Kieran Tierney in there? My
That's what I would have done the first Rangers game before we'd even seen Arthur kick a ball.
Well,
That's
aye,
what I
fair enough.
wanted to happen,
Fair
but he
enough.
didn't even do it in that match. So
Fair enough, and he done all right there, and he looked very comfortable. So maybe that's proved my point wrong. So I don't know. Maybe I would still stick with Tierney. But my midfield, I don't know. I know Negrin's 100% in there for me because I think he's good and shite at the exact same time. He can score a goal or set up a goal when he wants to. So, and obviously he's got the confidence of getting qualifying in the World Cup with his country, so he might give him a bit of a boost. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I would definitely start him. I would start McGregor for the sheer fact he's our captain, not for any performance that he's had so far this season, in my opinion. But you need a leader there, and he is a leader. So I'd place him there, and I would maybe, as much as we don't like him, I would play Rio Tati over the rest of them.
Nah,
Now, who
nah.
would you go for?
He'd be the third in my pick, mate. It'd be McGregor and Negrin, as you say, but it would either I'd probably go with Oxley Chamberlain. But if it wasn't Oxley Chamberlain, I'd go with Bernardo. But the two of them would be ahead of Hattati for me. Hattati's performance at Tannadice was unforgivable, mate.
Uh,
Unforgivable. I mean,
I,
nah,
I agree with you. I do agree with you. It's unforgivable, and he's nowhere near the player that we know that when he on his day he can be. He's nowhere near it. But I just feel like Oxley Chamberlain, I don't think he's fully fit. He still looks a bit out of sorts. And Bernardo, when he has played, he's played probably, if not as bad as Hattati, in
I
my
know,
opinion. So I think
I
it's
know,
a
but
tricky situation with midfield, and I wouldn't trust Luke McCowan going there either
no,
because
no.
he's the exact same. He's hot and cold. Sometimes you're like, oh, he's performing well, but 90% of the time you're like, oh, fuck off. Do you know what I mean?
Nah,
So it's
although
that
McCowan
third
being there ahead
position.
of fucking Hattati for me, to be fair, though, but so,
It's that third position. It could
nah.
be anyone. It could be any one of them, and I would still think that might be the weak spot in the midfield.
I'd like
Hattati,
to think,
any of them.
aye, I'd like to think the three guys we've mentioned there, McCowan, Bernardo, in fact, the four guys we've mentioned there, McCowan, Bernardo, Hattati, and Oxley Chamberlain, they've no been on international duty, so you'd like to think that they've been working hard at Celtic Park, this last week or so to kind of state a point to Martin O'Neill. Right, it should be me, it's in there. Because, like I say, they've had a rest now. They've come off the back of a really bad performance. Let's see if one of them will be playing to stake their claim. I wouldn't be going anywhere near Real Attack for me. I wouldn't play him again this season. I know that he done well against Rangers when he came on and that, and just he's no for me. But Attack anywhere, I'm done with him.
No,
Um,
he's slowly
aye,
becoming a bit part player. He's
aye, and I
got.
think,
Aye.
aye, sorry mate. I also think this is probably the time now to say to Dies and Maida, just you sit this one out.
Mm.
I think Tenecti, I'd be playing, who scored his goal. Maida didn't play against England. I know he didn't come on, but he played against Scotland. He's travelled down to England. Why not just say to Maida, you know what, you've not been performing. You've got your international you've been away for international duty. Let's sit this one out, see how we go. Play Tenecti, uh, play Yang. I'm not sure if Yang went away with South Korea, did he?
No,
No.
I don't think he's been called up.
So Yang's not been away. He's been here as well, I'd imagine, training. So give him it, he'll be fresh, and then whoever he wants to play up front, I would still stick with Iheanacho, even though he was poor at Tannadice. I still think he is probably our best striker. You know what I mean? So that's how I would see it, mate. Who would you get to Maida, or would you let him sit this one out? Like I think.
No, I thought Maida needed to get dropped months ago. I agree with you, he's not been the player he has been, but I always go back to, was that a purple patch? Because before that, we thought Maeda, if he didn't have his tatting back, he wouldn't be any sort of a good footballer. Because he didn't have anything else, but he had that purple patch after Kyogo left and scored the goals, and we all kind of thought, oh, maybe this is Maeda. But he's kind of went back to the way he used to be. So I'm not. I do agree with you. I do agree that he needs to get dropped and maybe get him a get yourself a rethink, just even rest and think about what he needs to do next. So I would start to net K again, like you says, the confidence of scoring the goal and being away and stuff like that with his country. It gave him a bit of confidence. Yang, I know he gets a lot of stick, but he's does reasonably well now. He's recently anyways done reasonably well. I can't really fault him for too much in the past couple of games. And up front, any one of them. If you can play any one of them, I wouldn't have any confidence in them right now.
Aye. The thing is, have you not noticed though, this season there's been far too many players at Celtic that have been impact players. You know, you look at the last, even over the last few weeks here, we started the game at Ibrox. We were awful in the first half. Rio Hatate comes on with Tenecti, Sebastian Tenecti, and they changed the game. They're excellent. You look at the week before when we played Kilmarnock, he brought on Oxley Chamberlain and he brought on Tenecti, and both of them changed the game. You know what I mean? Tenecti scored his wonder goal and stuff. Then, like that game I'm talking about, Ibrox, Oxley Chamberlain starts the game and he was awful. And then a week later, he comes on and he was excellent. And it just seems to happen like we've got James Forrest there as well, who comes on and he'll make an impact. Luke McCowan does it as well when he comes on. Bernardo's all right when he comes on at times. Even Yang has shown this season that when he comes off the bench, he can kind of make an impact as well. So there's the problem with Celtic this season. There's not been enough players who have been ready to go for the start of matches and show themselves on the big stage at the very start of the match, impose themselves in the game, and make a statement and stuff. It's always coming off the bench and playing excellent, and then the next week they start and they don't perform again. You know, Tenecti is the prime example of it. When he comes on, he does amazing, and then he starts a game and he's non-existent.
Aye.
And you're like, well, why is it happening at Celtic? Why is it these guys aren't performing for the get go? You know what I mean?
I felt that there was a period of time, I don't know if it was this season or last season, but Rangers, they used to be a 45-minute team, and I feel like Celtic's going through that type of situation just now. There might not be, well, I was going to say might not be necessarily one good half, one bad half, but there was a good few times this season that has happened. First half we could be dreadful, second half it seems like a totally different team. I don't know what it is. I feel like you're right about Tenetke. I've got I like him. I've got a lot of praise for him, but I just want him to be able to perform for 90 minutes. He can't go on having 30 minutes here, 25 minutes here, because you don't get a good Celtic career out of that. You're not going to last long here. We need players, like you said, for the first whistle to the last. And it feels like there's not many players this season, if any, that's done that. And that's been one of the major issues that we've had this season to why we're in the position we're in.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. But we'll see how Sunday goes. It's a big game. We'll see how that takes care of itself. But before we wrap up here, mate, I want to touch on a video that I done earlier this week involving Alex Oxley Chamberlain, where the Anfield Rap, is that the name of him?
Aye, aye.
The Anfield Rap, who's a Liverpool podcast, we're in a Celtic Park and interviewed Alex Oxley Chamberlain, who is current Celtic player but he used to play for Liverpool.
Mhm.
At this time being, Celtic have banned fan media. Celtic fans who have podcasts, who have articles, who have their own kind of stuff going on, their creators, they've banned them from coming into Celtic Park and asking the players questions and asking the manager questions, blah de blah de blah. So to me, what I said in the video was it was another massive gaff for Celtic to do that. It's like they've got no self-awareness of how the fans are feeling, how they feel they're being treated. I know that you've got a big opinion on this, Corey. Tell me what you think of that in particular happening this week.
The phrase "read the room" comes in mind a wee bit when it's coming to this whole situation. I feel not even confused anymore. I just feel like this is just the norm with the Celtic board. The Celtic board are so out of touch with the normal fan. or out of touch with full world on football to an extent. I've seen numerous people backing up podcasts, numerous people, and I know people who hate certain podcasts, and they're still backing them up because they should be there. They should be able to ask the questions that the fans. I'm not necessarily saying us because we've only started, but you see big podcasts like a Celtic State of Mind, John Paul Dykes, 20-minute Tims. They're they're nowhere near Celtic Park, and they're not allowed anywhere near Celtic Park because the board are scared to answer the real questions. They're all right answering the questions to the press because they can get filtered, they can get checked, they can say this one's okay, this one's not. But they're scared of the real fans' opinion. They're scared that it's not all rosy, it's not all perfect, and I feel I just feel that it's just baffling that these are the people that are in charge of our football club that are making these stupid decisions time and time again, especially this season. And I also feel Celtic fans in general, I've spoke about it a couple of times on Off the Underside and on here, we're in the dark about so much. And I feel that it's time for us to stop that and just be honest with the fans. If things aren't going right, be honest. We've got social media platforms coming out of our ears. Everybody's on these platforms. We should be able to get a statement or two, or just a wee 2 3 minute video for Peter, not Peter Lowell, but Dermot Desmond or Brian Wilson. Not have these fluff pieces that everyone's all good, everyone's all rosy. Oh look, there's all the Celtic players training. Fuck off. There's lots of issues that the fans, the fans, even I would say like players, they probably don't even know what's going on in the fucking club. Nobody knows what's going on at Celtic Park, and there's people who put thousands of pounds in that club every single year, and it's all the article I seen on Twitter was the trust me bro approach to dealing with football clubs, and I feel Celtic's that way. It's like, oh, don't need to ask us any questions, just trust us, it'll be all fine. No, because shit's going down, shit's hit the fan. Fans want to know. Fans have got shares in the club, and they need to. They want that's their money that's in stake, and I just feel that the clubs is getting letting us down. And it's only a wee stupid interview for a Liverpool podcast, but it's a pin in the ocean of the fucking shit that the Celtic have been this season.
Agreed, mate. Agreed. It's like I said earlier, no self awareness whatsoever to kind of. I mean, how's nobody questioned that? How's nobody thought, how are the Celtic fans going to feel about this, especially after everything that's happened this season? Why is it that we think that this is going to be a good idea? Let's look at every kind of outcome of this. And it's not been the biggest story of the week. It's been a thing that Celtic fans have noticed. They have paid attention to it and they have been upset by it. You know what I mean? And I totally agree. I just can't. It's like a slap in the face to your own supporters by allowing another club's podcast into the stadium when you've banned your own one. So it's absolutely baffling, Corey. But as you say, mate, it's been like an absolute kind of drop in the ocean of how Celtic have behaved this season and how Celtic fans have been treated this year.
It's like you see big clubs, you've got Ajax, even Man United, stuff like that. They come out with statements doing this is what we want to do in the season, or this is where we failed in the season. They hold accountability. The Celtic board don't want to hold accountability, or they don't think there's accountability to be held. Like you seen after the Dundee United game, I get you were saying that they can't really turn around and speak to them, but they were getting abuse and they were just oblivious to them. And it's been time and time again. They've been shutting people out when sometimes they're just even asking simple questions. And the way, like you've mentioned it before about the AGM, the way they've they treated the people of the AGM. That's shareholders. That's not wee Waynes. And they treated them like they were fucking five. It's shocking the way they spoke to us and the way they don't speak to us.
I think that's been one of the most frustrating things for me throughout this is the fact that it seems like Celtic and the Celtic board don't even want to mend any fences. It's
No.
like they just want to keep this ongoing. I mean, we've not even heard anything about the Green Brigade situation in a few weeks now about where we are with that. I know that they're obviously still in dispute about things and stuff. I mean, but there's got to be a resolution to that. We're coming up to the end of the season. And obviously, as we spoke about earlier, we might be in a title race by 2-3 weeks. We might not be. But the fact that if Celtic are going to be, we're going to be playing Rangers regardless. We're going to be playing Hearts regardless. We need the Green Brigade in there. We need these situations to be resolved one way or another. I'm not saying just bow down to these guys and give them everything they want, because the Green Brigade and other sections of their support and every other support, if they cross the line, they deserve to be punished. There deserves to be a bit of dialogue there, right? But the Green Brigade are good for the club. They're good for Celtic. They're good for the stadium. They bring atmosphere. It's time that Celtic realise this, that, you know, the majority of fans want them there. They want them to behave as well, but they want them there to add the atmosphere and bring, you know, what we know they can bring to the stadium and away games and stuff. So to go radio silent on that topic as well, and you know, at the AGM as you spoke about, mate, it wasn't like let's try and build some bridges here and mend some fences. It was all just about let's try and create a war. You know what I mean?
Fingers
And
on lips type of thing, like school, but
aye,
fingers on lips, let me speak.
aye. Well,
That's it.
exactly. I'm in charge here. I'm in charge. I'll tell you what to think, and it's not the right approach today. If you're wanting for everybody to come together and for Celtic to be the club that we know we are, and the Celtic family that we know we are, it's time for the board and everybody involved in the club to actually drop their egos, drop their big fucking, you know, their big characters, their big egos that they've got, and just say, you know what, let's just put the past to the past. We're going for another title here. We're going for another Scottish Cup. We need to build on for next season. It's time to all just kind of fucking man up and just make up. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. It is, it's just, like, I'll go back to it's accountability. Sometimes, the Green Brigade need to hold accountability. I've read minutes from one of their meetings and it seemed like they were holding accountability. They were trying to say they shouldn't be always banned, they should be that person banned, which I get. And they're also saying they feel about a bit harsh punishment because they've been in the Green Brigade from the police, which I've seen myself, which I also get. So I feel like they're saying just have our back a wee bit. We'll behave, but you have our back when it comes to the police. And Celtic basically says, "What do you want us to do about it?" So it felt like a waste of time from the Green Brigade's point of view. So I get that, but they're also coming out. I seen a video. It was Brian Wilson saying, "Oh, we want the Green Brigade back, but it's the police that don't want them to be there," or something to that extent, which I think is a lot of shit.
I
I
don't
think
believe that for a second.
I don't think the Celtic board like them for the same reason why they don't like fan media. They don't like banners of them
Mm-hmm.
getting told to get to fuck. They don't like them being a voice for Celtic fans inside the stadium, like sack the board chants or any of the like of that. They just don't like it. They want it. Pardon me. It was the more they see no evil, hear no evil type of thing. They just don't want it to be there. They think if you just push sweep under the carpet, then they'll all be fine. But it's clearly not fine. And I agree with you. The atmosphere they bring, phenomenal. The tifos that they do, phenomenal. They bring an atmosphere. They create that cauldron at Celtic Park. But clearly the Celtic board think otherwise. And don't get it.
Well, that's it. It's all about accountability, mate. But I will we'll leave it there for this week. hopefully we'll have a good weekend this weekend. As it says down the bottom here, guys, just down about here, subscribe for daily Celtic content. Subscribe to our YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, remember, hit that follow button. Tell your friends, tell your family about it. I'm sure, very much like Off the Underside podcast, we will be doing giveaways and other kind of competitions somewhere down the line. And it'll be obviously Celtic based stuff. So that's what we like to do. So keep an eye out on that, guys. Keep an eye out on everything else we've got coming up. And come on to Celtic this weekend. Let's get back in this.
Sack.